Abortions occur at a wide range of ages. Oftentimes when they do happen at abortion centers, they're not notifying parents. Certainly when pills are ordered online, there's no kind of, they're not saying, hey, how old are you? And do you have parental permission or anything like that as well. But what we would say about that is, obviously if there's an adult involved in that situation who's responsible for that, they should be arrested first and foremost. And then secondly, we would say that, hey, if someone who is underage is pregnant, that their baby is just as valuable as any other baby, right? We're not going to punish that baby for the sins of their father, etc. Yeah. Abortion is one of the main tools used by human traffickers in order to continue to control their victims, right? If a woman is a victim of human trafficking, she gets pregnant, you better believe that she's going to be made to get an abortion, or she's going to be strongly pushed to or coerced to. There's no situation in which she remains in that situation and has the baby. She either has to escape if she's able to, or she's having an abortion typically. Yeah, I mean, certainly an 11-year-old girl getting an abortion, there's adults involved in that, there's coercion involved in that, there's a lot. And you start getting into the specifics of the law and how it's carried out, how it's enforced. It's like with anything else. If you passed a law that treated abortion as murder, it doesn't mean we're prescribing X punishment for every situation. You're always talking about an investigation involving law enforcement. You're talking about a decision of the district attorney to prosecute or not, and to prosecute at what level. You're talking about a jury of our peers, et cetera, right? So if there are extenuating circumstances, including a person's age, that's going to impact the way the investigation is conducted. That's going to impact the way that someone decides to prosecute or not. It's going to impact the trial. It's going to impact sentencing and all that. Does that make sense? Women who make 400% or more money above the poverty line, so whatever the federal poverty line is, women who make 400% or more of that, in that category, abort about 30% of their babies. 30%. Women who are under the federal poverty line abort about 8% of their babies. So when we tie kind of sort of needs, resource needs, any kind of needs to abortion, what we find is that it really has very little to do with that. And there's a lot of statistics and data that you can look at over the years that follow that same trend, which is essentially what we find is that abortions in the United States typically, by the numbers, are due to convenience. They're things like, hey, you know what? I just don't want a baby. I want to put my school first. I want to put my career first. My boyfriend doesn't want me to have this baby. My husband doesn't want me to have this baby. And it's not due to things that we see as the examples that are kind of always put up on the screen of the teenage single mom whose parents are kicking her out, and on and on and on and on. Those things happen. They do happen. But they're not reflective of the average abortion in the United States. There can be confusion about what abortion is and what it is not at times. In short, it is the intentional killing or destruction or termination of a person in the womb. All right, and being a person in the womb begins from the moment of fertilization, which is also known as conception. It's important to define those terms as well, because conception is something that sometimes the left, that the pro-aborts will try to muddle. They say that conception begins with implantation, but implantation actually happens 6 to 12 days after fertilization. You've had a living human being with their own unique DNA from the moment of fertilization, not the moment of implantation. And that's one of the ways that they push some of the laws around, like the morning after pill and so on. For instance, in Texas, an abortion is defined under Texas law as only being an abortion if it's the intentional destruction of a person that, on a woman who is known to be pregnant. So if she can't be known to be pregnant, which she really couldn't be at that point, Texas doesn't even recognize it as an abortion. It also includes the destruction of embryos, fertilized eggs through things like IVF. This is something that we don't talk a lot about in the abortion discussion, but it's part of the discussion. A fertilized egg is a human being. In short, what is abortion? Abortion is murder. Next slide, please. This is the state of abortion in the United States. These are the numbers from 2008 to 2020. And you can see in 2008, we were a little over 1.2 million abortions per year nationally. In 2020, we're down to about 875,000 or so. You see this sort of gentle sloping downward trend. Next slide, please. And then we look at monthly here. And again, these numbers are kind of small. I don't know if you can see them, but from January to August, we're 4,000 something to 5,000 something abortions each month. And then September through the end of the year, December, it's 2,000 something each month. So you see a pretty substantive drop there. And that was, with those number changes, that shift in the numbers coincides with the enactment of the Texas Heartbeat Act, which started to take effect in September of 2021. But again, these are the numbers of abortions that took place at abortion facilities in Texas. So while it appears there is a drop in the monthly at that time period, what we find is there were abortions occurring by other means at that same time. Next slide, please. In short, the most concise way you could say this is that we believe that murdering anyone should be illegal for everyone. The reason this statement has to be put in this way is because right now it is not illegal for a woman to murder her child in Texas today. And it's happening every single day. Every single day. And it used to happen at abortion centers scattered around the state. And now it's happening in homes, it's happening in dorm rooms, it's happening in schools, it's happening in places of work, it's happening everywhere. Abortion has not been banned in Texas, it's just been decentralized.